Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Today is supposed to be a very nice day outside. There's a low chance of snow and it's going to be a very mild Alaska winter, meaning that it should be around 15 or 20 degrees Fahrenheit or so. Therefore, I decided to put the very cheapest tent that I could find on Amazon to the test and see if I can escape the night without getting frostbite or hypothermia. The name of the tent that I'll be using is a Wakement, a two-person outdoor water-resistant tent, but it has zero insulation, ladies and gentlemen, as it was not made for winter. The tent measures 5 feet by 7 feet, so it should be pretty simple to put together as soon as I'm done clearing this area. It is currently about 11 a.m. on the 7th of January 2024, so Happy New Year's to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to be out here all the way until sun up tomorrow, 8 January, at about 10:30 a.m. or so, after I get done hunting for my breakfast. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right, after I get done hunting for my breakfast. Now, one of the things that I want to try, and I'm hoping that this tent is strong enough to hold the wool blanket, but I want to put the wool blanket over the top of the outside of the tent in order to try to insulate it a little bit so that whatever heat we're generating in there we can keep. That looks pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we won't get any wind to blow it off. Now let me go ahead and start putting everything inside the tent that we need in order to survive the night. And of course, you get what you pay for. Remember, this is $19.30, ladies and gentlemen. It's all set up. I got a couple other things to do inside before we can settle in for the night and maybe make a little bit of dinner. Not maybe, make some dinner. So let me go ahead and show you, and then we got to go feed the chickens real quick. Now this is what it looks like inside, ladies and gentlemen, once it's almost set up, not completely. But you see that there was plenty of room, or just enough room, for that 4-inch mattress that I put on here. And here is the sleeping bag, and it's a negative 25-degree sleeping bag, so I don't even know if I'm going to need any hand warmers or body warmers tonight. Now it's time to go feed the chickens real quick before it starts to get too dark, and I want to make sure that I'm all set up before it starts to get too dark also. What are you barking at, you? Huh, you naughty girl? Oh, there's Luna. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is where I keep the food for the chickens. I keep them in one of or both of these tin garbage cans. And this here is 20%. This here is scratch. And then I got some cracked corn in that one. They're hungry. I got some cracked corn in that tin that also has mealworms in it. So I'll usually put in a couple of scoops of 20%, followed by 1 scoop of each scratch and the corn that is mixed in with the mealworms. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that chickens are worse than pigs. I ended up putting my food bucket up here so that I can get their bucket or their feeder on the floor, and one of them jumped up here and spilt it. Incredible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is very cozy in here and it's warm in here. I was going to put a liner on the top of the tent in order to redirect any heat that's up there back down here, but I'm telling you, it's just so warm. I think right now I'm going to go ahead and grab my thermometer from outside and show it to you, because I have to head outside here in a second. And then I'm going to keep a thermometer in here. And then I'm going to let you know where the temperature is in here compared to what it is outside. Now, I was going to use this right here to heat the inside of the tent. This is a tea light heater, but I just don't think I'm going to need it. If not, I'm going to heat myself out of here. It'll be too hot in here. And one of my lights is this right here. I think I showed this on the last video where I showed you what I was bringing. This is a little fan that has a light attached to it, and that's what's lighting the inside of my tent. And right now what I'm going to do is I am going to go and tidy up everything out there, get everything ready in order to make a fire later on tonight, and start getting everything ready to make dinner as soon as it gets dark out. It is currently 18 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I have no idea what time it is. I'm guessing it's about 1 p.m. roughly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember the previous video where I showed you everything that I brought out here, I showed you me making this small contraption here. And what it is just a housing for a butane container or a butane cylinder so that it will keep warm in cold temperatures, since butane and propane don't like to act very well when the canisters are very cold. So what I did is I've got a canister in here. This is a thermometer. You can see that inside right now it's 42.6 degrees. And the reason that I'm keeping this at 42.6 degrees inside that contraption is because underneath the actual cylinder, I've got a hand warmer in there, and it's set on low. Let me feel it. And it feels nice and warm. So it's set on low. That hand warmer will last a very long time, and it'll keep the cylinder warm for when I need it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this inside the tent. Probably wait until I want to make myself a cup of coffee or something to go ahead and break this out. The temperature is starting to drop a little. Let's see. It's not really that cold, but it's a little bit windy out, and it's 16.7 degrees Fahrenheit out here. But like I said, it's a little bit windy out, so it's making that feel like it's a little bit more. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can start a small fire so I can cook me some dinner. And ladies and gentlemen, please excuse the production value. I'm the only one out here taking video and all that kind of stuff, so I try to show you what's going on. But if I miss something now and then and I talk over it, it's just because I can't be from all different angles at the same time. For the first time in I don't know how long, I'm going to try to start a fire using a ferrocerium rod and some lint that I made from cotton balls and some Vaseline. So this is probably about the cheapest flint that you're going to be able to find. I'm going to put it there and let's see what happens. I haven't started a fire with a ferrocerium rod in I don't know how long. So we'll have to see. And this is just a little cheapo. So you don't have to have anything expensive. And this right here is magnesium, but we're just going to use the rod and see. There we go. And it's really roaring now, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at that. So now all we have to do is just make sure that we keep feeding it, pushing this wood in. And then here in a minute or so, we'll go ahead and start cooking our steak. But first, I wanted to set this up just to see how it works. Check this out. This is a torch, and it's a trigger torch. So it works very easily when you're trying to light something, when your hands are really cold, and you can't really do much with them. All you have to do is pull the trigger. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are ready to put on some steak. There's some olive oil that Victor got for me the last time he went on vacation, like a couple of years ago when he went on vacation. Here's a little olive oil. And at the same time that I'm cooking this, I have to make sure that the fire stays, I guess you can say, stoked, right? Obviously, this would work a lot better if we were on a nice, even or level ground, but this is not bad. I just now noticed, and this is very dangerous if you don't keep track of this, I guess you can say. Since I've been out here, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and since I've been out here, I haven't had any water. Probably like in the last 4 hours or so, and it's probably after 2. So that's something that you have to keep on top of, something that I need to work on. And let me show you this right here. This is not working as good as I thought it would, because the candles, they keep turning off. So I'm going to see if I can light them using another candle. There's no way that I would trust not knocking this over. So this is definitely not going inside the tent. Well, you know what? I can just use my hands to turn her over. Oh boy, look at that crust. Look at that nice crust. Isn't that pretty? Wow. That's good living, ladies and gentlemen. Sitting outside when it's only 20 degrees, cooking a steak over a little bit of fire, just having some fun being out here in nature. The only thing that I wish were better today is that we would have a clear sky, which it looks like we're going to have an overcast tonight. But other than that, can't complain, can we now? Oh my goodness, looking good. Oh, we got a little bit of char right there, but yeah, that's fine. We're not gonna let that stop us, ladies and gentlemen. There's somewhat of a learning curve to cooking over a rocket stove. I'm gonna go ahead and change over to my camp shoes, or my campground shoes. I'm gonna put a hand warmer or a foot warmer in each of those. Put it inside the tent, inside the sleeping bag. That way, by the time that I go to wear them, they'll be nice and cozy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what technology is for, so that we can take advantage of it. And at the same time, I'm going to put a couple of these body warmers inside my sleeping bag. Now, these are the ones that stick to fabric, which is good because that way they're not flopping around as you're trying to sleep all night and then all bunching up into one hot spot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is about just shy of 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's see, it's just shy of 18 degrees above zero, so not too bad. And I want to check my camp shoes. So these guys, oh, they're nice and warm inside now. They're nice and warm, so what I think I'm going to do now is, you see this right here? This is all wet. My pants are wet from the knees down. Not a good idea to go to bed with wet pants. I don't think that my socks are wet. My feet are actually pretty nice. They don't feel freezing. You want your feet, now this is all my opinion from what I remember, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You don't want your feet to be hot so that they're sweating, but you also don't want them to be freezing. You want it like in between, where your feet are like a little bit chilly, but not freezing. Chilly enough to where you're not sweating, and not cold enough to where you can like move your feet. And like I thought, my socks are nice and dry. The next time that we go out and sleep over, it's not going to be on this property. It'll be on someone else's property that I'm not really familiar with. That way I don't have a choice but to deal with what it is that I have. Like, for example, today, one of the things that I've learned today is that you really need to have a plan, especially in the winter, on how you're going to clean your utensils and your pots and such, because without hot water you're really not going to get grease out of pots, out of your knife, out of your spork, right? I actually ended up just putting that to the side, and I'm just going to bring it in tomorrow. So what did I learn from that is that either have a way to heat water, enough water, so that you can do your dishes before you go to bed, because you don't want to leave dirty dishes or any kind of food outside while you're sleeping. But instead, what I think is a better idea for winter camping is to bring prepared meals. So you can either, like that steak that I cooked, I could have pre-cooked that steak, I could have put it in a Ziploc bag, or I could have vacuum sealed it, and then I could have just boiled some water and put the bag in water and heated it up that way. Or I could have brought some nutrient survival. Let's see, maybe I could have pre-cooked some eggs, same thing. Instead, I brought powdered eggs. That's probably not going to work tomorrow. We'll see what happens. So pre-cook your foods, or if you have, like, let's say, for example, Mountain House. One of the things that I have to stock up on more, although I have a good amount now, are the breakfast Mountain House meals that are protein and fat rich, meaning that they're like eggs with bacon, you know, omitting the hash browns and things that have carbs and such. For those of you that don't know, I'm diabetic, so I really can't have too many carbs at any one time at all. So that's what I've chosen to do to fight diabetes instead of taking medication. So do things like that instead. That way you don't have to find yourselves where you have to do dishes, because you really don't want to leave them dirty overnight. Let's go ahead and take care of this. This is looking pretty nice. I kind of like doing this, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of building a fire, I kind of like doing it in this little rocket stove. It's pretty convenient. I think that is such a good idea to go ahead and preheat your footwear, and also to preheat like your sleeping bag before you go in there and go to bed. It'll be nice and warm when you go in there. You'll be that much more comfortable. These pants are definitely going to have to come off. There's no way that we can keep these on. It'll probably be dangerous to keep them on. So now that I'm not moving anymore, I'm starting to get a little chilly. But right now we're at 18 degrees Fahrenheit. So the temperature is dropping slowly but steadily. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so ghetto that I don't even know if you can see me now because of the light. Let me see if I can fix the light. So I was saying that I'm so ghetto that I don't even have a microphone for my camera, i.e. my phone. So I use my phone for my camera. And I have one of those little microphones that you put on your lapel or whatever, and then you attach it to your phone, and then you can talk and it can hear you just fine. I can't deal with technology, ladies and gentlemen. It's sitting on my desk and I've never even opened it after I got it. So the way that I'm recording my voice right now, and I hope that it's recording well, is, well, I'm recording with that phone that's standing over there. I'm recording my voice with this phone right here. So when I edit this video, I will edit it for video off of that camera that's looking at me now, and I'll edit it for voice or sound off of this phone, i.e. camera, that's recording right now. All right, you can push record.
It's already been recording.
Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to change into my other pants because I'm still up and I'm probably not going to be going to bed for another 2 or 3 hours. And my jeans that I was wearing, they were completely soaked. So I changed into these dry overall winter pants. You never want to keep clothes on, especially if they are wet. It'll be a very big hindrance down the line, and it can be dangerous as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a steady 19 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's about time to go to bed. And currently it's a little bit chilly in here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to warm up as soon as I zip up the rest of my sleeping bag and call it in for the night. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the worst parts about camping out in the cold. And it's that I probably fell asleep, I'm guessing, around 8 p.m. or so. And right now it's about 11:45. and I'm nice and cozy. I mean, I am just nice and cozy inside my sleeping bag. And let's see. And it's very nice inside here. It's 29 degrees inside the tent. I'm guessing that outside is probably about 10 degrees or so. And I have to get up because there's no way in the world, oh, excuse me, there's no way in the world that my bladder is going to make it another 4 or 5 hours till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when I get up. So now I have to let all of this nice warmth leave the sleeping bag and then come and fight to get back in and reclaim it. Do not do this. If you have like children out there, or if you have significant others that you want to get into camping and going out and doing things like this with you, try to make it as comfortable as you possibly can. For example, this tent, the cheapest tent that I could find on Amazon, I would never use this tent willingly to camp overnight. Eventually I'll probably graduate to a tent that would take a stove, or a tent that's insulated, a tent that's easier to set up, because they have them up there where they pretty much pop up by themselves, that they're insulated, that they take a stove, it's got a little hole for the flue of the stove to go out, etc., etc. I think that the more things you do to try to make it as comfortable as possible, not only the better for you, right? For a big fat body like me trying to get in and out of a tent like this just to test it out, but the better for those that you are trying to encourage to go camping with you and to do things like this. So try to make it as best an experience as possible. However, right now I can feel already that my body is reclaiming whatever little bit of heat it lost by going outside. And now I'm pretty sure that if I put on my audiobook, I'll be snoozing again in the next half hour or so. So see you all in the morning. So I'm just sitting in here thinking about some of the good and bad things about this tent. And I can tell by looking at the tent that it's actually for $19.30. It's a great tent. I highly recommend that you get a very good pad so you can sleep on. I think that I am going to graduate for our next outing to a tent that I can stand up straight in, okay? And one that I can maybe fit a cot. That way I can sleep off the floor instead of having to get my old fat butt pretty much on the floor. However, the mattress pad that I have on here, I call it a mattress pad, but it's a 4-inch pad that I have in here. It's very comfy. It's not very difficult to transport, to bring from one place to another. And it does the job of keeping any of the coldness from the ground coming up through the sleeping bag. Because you don't want to put your sleeping bag, no matter what it's rated for. This one here is rated for -25. So no matter what your sleeping bag is rated for, you don't want to put it right on the ground. It's just going to steal away your warmth. One thing that I've noticed about the tent, which is a good thing in my opinion, is that it's just a tiny bit of condensation along the seams. I think you might be able to see that a little bit, but it's not that much, and it's mainly around where I'm sleeping. And look at that, I even have the zipper of the entrance pretty much all the way open, about 3/4 of the way open. It's just because it's not that cold in here. Let's see. Right now we're looking at about almost 30 degrees inside. So there's about a 15-degree difference between the temperature inside the tent and outside. But you can see a little more of the condensation down there. And look at our OUPES, ladies and gentlemen. 95% is still looking really good for being cold for the last several days that it's been outside. And one thing about the phone that I'm recording with right now is I've had it plugged in to the OUPES all night long. So from what I understand, and I'm not an expert at this, okay? As long as you have a battery that's plugged into power, that's receiving power, it's not going to freeze on you, and it's going to last a lot longer than it otherwise would. Which is why my phone, in my opinion, is still at 100% and it's still working just fine. And also, it's almost 30 degrees in this tent, which says a lot, in my opinion, about the little OUPES, because this has been in the cold for many days now, and I don't plan on putting it back in any kind of warm temperature, I mean like above freezing, anytime soon. Unless I take it out with me next time and inside the tent it gets to above freezing or so, then it is what it is. But other than that, it's working very, very well. So I wasn't expecting this. It started snowing out of nowhere. It's 21 degrees outside. I think inside it's about 5 degrees warmer or so, but you can see that we got snow overnight, so there's not going to really be any cooking breakfast out here because I'm not set up to cook breakfast in the snow or in the rain. But this is what everything's looking like. Here's the tent, and I was thinking, why don't I go to the bunker and grab me one of my UCO candeliers? And as you can see, it's on. All 3 candles are, and I'm not going to fall asleep, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So don't worry about that. So it's going to be safe in here, and there's plenty of ventilation in here, trust me on that, for CO2 or anything like that. But outside, it's 20 to 21 degrees, depending on what thermometer I look at. But take a look at this. It's already 29, almost 30 degrees in here. When I left here, I think I remember showing you when I left here, it was like 26 or 27 degrees. So I don't know if it's because the heat is going up like this, but we'll see what it gets up to in here. And look at that, it just hit, oh no, I thought it hit 30, but it's, there it is. It did hit 30. It's 30 degrees in here. We'll see if this can sustain us at 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So I've had the candelier going on for almost an hour, I'm thinking, that I've had it going on. It's not like 45 minutes or so. And I just want to show you how well this is working. If you all remember, it was like 27 degrees, I believe, in here when we first brought the candelier in. And check this out. I hope that you can see that. That says 37.9, I believe. Let me look at it. 38.3 or 38.5. So it's going up pretty steadily. But this is the point that I want to make. What you can take away from a video like this, if you never ever intend on going overnight camping or winter camping or whatever it may be, if you never intend on doing that, if I can control the temperature in this tent to be almost 20 degrees higher than what it is outside, then let's say, for example, that you lose power. So you can do this at home. So let's say that the electricity goes out. Let's say it's the middle of winter. Let's say there's absolutely nothing else that you can do. Let's say your generator fails. It is the worst of the worst. Everything is gone against you. You can always take a small, cheap tent, put it in the middle of your living room, put a sleeping bag in there, and wait it out. And you know that you're not going to freeze. And you won't even get frostbite. For those of you that don't know, in order for you to get frostbite, the temperature has to be below freezing. You can get hypothermia above freezing, but in order for you to get frostbite, it has to be below freezing for you to get it. So you can actually save your own life in a situation like what happened in Texas a few years back, where people actually lost their lives because they did not have the appropriate backups to keep warm in the situation that they were in. So I'm not going to turn this into a lecture or into a preaching session. I just want to put out that that is a great takeaway from this video. If you're never going to go and camp out or anything like that, is that you can actually use this, something cheap like a $19 tent, and even a much cheaper sleeping bag, although this sleeping bag was not that expensive. It was about 129 bucks, I think it was. But you can even get a cheaper sleeping bag and be able to make it through inside your home during some kind of crazy crisis where everything's failed and all you have is a cheap tent and a cheap sleeping bag and maybe a few candles. According to the forecast yesterday, it was only supposed to snow for like maybe an inch, and it was a maybe. And now I look at the forecast and it's supposed to snow all day through like 5 p.m. So I am not set up for cooking outside while it's snowing or raining or anything like that. And this tent is way too small. And the main purpose of this excursion was to test out Amazon's cheapest tent and to see if we can stay warm enough in this cheap little tent and comfortable enough to spend the night. And thanks to my nice little sleeping bag here. And also, let me show you that this is still on. Our little Yuko chandelier is still doing a great job. Let me show you what the temperature is in here without catching the tent on fire, of course. Let's see, I hope that you can see this here. It's 36, roughly 36 degrees in the tent. And outside, it's probably around in the 20s or so. In the low 20s, if not just shy of that. And I'm very comfortable in here. Everything is good. I'm going to wait until we get a little bit of sunlight. And then I'm still going to go and hunt for my breakfast. But we're just going to go ahead and clean it and cook it inside the house. Because, again, I'm not set up to be cooking outside if it's snowing or raining. Right? So next time that we go camping, I'm going to hopefully have a setup where I can actually cook inside the tent, where it will be a tent that I can actually walk in without having to get on my knees to get in and out, and it will be a lot more comfortable. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's like almost 10 o'clock in the morning right now, and it stopped snowing. So we're going to be able to go and do a little hunting and actually cook breakfast outside. But hopefully I'll catch something. So first I have to get my boots on, get out of this tent, get my bow and arrow ready, and then we'll get started. And like I said, hopefully we'll catch something. Worst case scenario, I have some powdered eggs that we can cook up. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the tent looks like. It withheld that snow barely. But let me go ahead and zip this up a little bit. It's not like it's going to make too much of a difference. And let's see if we can get some of the snow off of it. But I can tell you this wool blanket did a pretty good job at keeping the inside of the tent somewhat warm throughout the night. As you can see, the temperature maintained like between 35 and 37 degrees above zero pretty much all night long. Let's see what the temperature is out here. And look at this. This is how much it snowed. Well, it's 20 degrees out here right now. We have to be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbit. There's the elusive Alaska rabbit tracks. Oh no, there it is. Well, wait a minute. Let me get this out of the pit. I don't know if you're allowed to show these weapons on YouTube or not. Let me get that out of there. Okay. I mean, he's a little bit old, so he may be a little bit rough and tough around the edges when it comes to how much you're going to have to chew. This is a 2019 series, but we're going to give it a go, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't go hunting for nothing. So check this out. Look at that. That's the hybrid, ladies and gentlemen. Made it all night. I had this light on since the beginning. Look at that. Still in 20-degree temperatures. And look at our little OUPES. Our little OUPES has performed. It's at 85% in these temperatures, and it's performed as well as I thought that it would. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this up in the shed, and I'm not going to charge it or anything. When I charge this next, after using it several times, I'll probably wait till it's down to about 30 or 40%. Then I will recharge it, but outside with an electrical cord outside. So this is going to be in low temperatures the entire winter. We'll see how it performs. Tonight, it performed very well. We used 15%, and I was using it pretty much all night long. Let's get back to what I told you I was going to show you earlier, that I developed this little contraption here for the butane heaters because they don't like low temperatures. So I'm hoping that this kept it pretty cool throughout the night, or pretty warm, excuse me. You can see that the hand warmer is in here, and it barely has any juice left. But we're going to go ahead and hook it up to our jet boil and we're gonna see if it works. The last time that I tried this, I didn't do it on camera, but it was close to, I think it was between 15 and 0 degrees. It was fluctuating that day, and it did not want to start. So we're gonna see right now if this will start. We're not gonna boil anything in it because, like I said, it's snowing again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna cook my breakfast that I just caught. First I have to clean it and dress it. So let's see if it'll start. It's a little hesitant there at first. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I can't say it's the best. It would work in an emergency. And again, the hand warmer did run out just about, so that probably affected it a little bit. Overall, I would say that I would use this to heat some water if I had to. It's doing its job. There you go. If you shake it a little bit. But really, what I'm going to do is the next camping trip that we go on, I'm going to provide you with a permanent solution to this problem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this winter camping trip. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time doing this. And this was a great experiment. Look, $19.30. If this keeps me alive when it's 20 degrees outside, then think about how it would keep you alive when it's cold outside, but you can deploy one of these tents inside your house to keep even warmer inside. Having said that, thank you very much. If you're still here, you're awesome. Thank you very much for your support, ladies and gentlemen. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. Look at that. It seems to be working pretty good now as soon as it got warmed up.